Hello, hello. Well, I bring goodies. Uh, I had ordered up a whole box of stuff. There we go. From LMR. Pretty much everyone in the car scene knows who they are. Late model restoration. They sell new parts for old cars. And they offer a lot for Fox body Mustangs. And what does that got to do with this? Well, a lot of parts in 80s Fords are interchangeable. So some stuff more than others, like some dashboard components and a few other interior components are pretty common between the early 80s Mustangs and most of the rest of the 80s Ford lineup. And then most of the weather stripping and window channels are also the same or comparable across most of those as well, even though that the shapes are totally different between each model. Yeah, the seals themselves are typically very close. So what I did was I ordered up some door gaskets because all of my cars are due. So I got enough for 2 cars. I got a set for my blue 82 outside, and then a set for this green 82. Well, it's blue now, but it was originally green. And I'm doing this because I'm tired of for a few things. For one thing, on my blue 82, the hatch rattles some. There are supposed to be rubber stops here, which my blue one does have, and that kind of helps the deck lid from rattling a lot. But a main source of that prevention is the door gasket that goes around the underside of the hatch here. And it also keeps out a lot of wind noise. Obviously keeps out rain, but even when they're flat like this, they keep out the weather pretty good. But it lets in a bunch of fumes from the exhaust. Believe it or not, the exhaust it outputs just underneath this driver's side tail light, and depending on how the wind's blowing while you're sitting still, you can actually smell it coming in through the cabin. And it's not the greatest thing. I mean, when you have a well-tuned EXP, it's not it's not going to make you nauseous or anything. It's just more of an annoyance kind of thing. Especially if you have like guests in the car, no need to put them through that, even if they don't mind. It's just not right. So the gasket's good for that. And then what I recently found with the front doors is the door gaskets, for the side doors. They account for a lot of the road noise when they're flat and no longer sealing against the door itself. And I found this out in my blue 82 because while I was driving down the road, I drive it a lot more frequently now, and the road noise is getting to me, especially when I have to keep up with even faster traffic than years past. So the wind noise does get a little bit much, and while I'm driving, if I put my hand in this area, it gets quite a bit quieter in my left ear, right by my shoulder. So obviously, my door gasket being flattened like this one is, mine doesn't have any missing chunks, but with mine being flattened, it's obviously letting in a lot of air noise. And then, who knows how much weather it's letting in when I try washing it. But I do take extremely good care to not let any water get inside. But regardless, we'll see what we can do to fix it, and then we'll go from there. So these ones for Fox bodies, they are shaped a little bit differently. Let me grab, I think that's the seam there. Let me grab this seam so that we can hold the cross section side by side. That actually does look like a really good match. So this is a stock one. Oh, and then the other door ones right here. So we put these side by side in a way that we can easily discern the differences, at least. Now keep in mind that the used one, which is the rusty one, is malshapen and whatnot because of rust, and it's been trying to let go from the car. I believe it should be shaped identically to this new one, which is great. So this new one should be absolutely perfect. But what it seems to me when I bought this and when I hold it in my hand is this round hollow cushion part doesn't seem as big as the flattened one does, but holding them side by side like this, I think they're identical. But it's pretty neat. These new ones even have the same exact texture. So once I put these new ones in, you won't even know that I've changed them. And then they have gotten, the old ones are thicker on the top side here, but I attribute that to rust. They are supposed to fit underneath these A-pillar trims, and I have yet to find one that perfectly fits inside there. And I'm now realizing that the reason why is because the old gasket is rusting, which means it's expanding from the inside. So that's forcing these A-pillar trim pieces out, resulting in a very poor fit. And it is much worse when you take out the gasket or the trim piece and try putting it back in. If you leave it alone, I'd say it's about 80% correct. But as soon as you take it out, now you're kind of forced to settle with like 60%. But yeah, so we'll see. Door gaskets are when. We'll check the hatch gasket next. And then after I do that, I'll actually put these in the car, or I'll yank out the old ones. We'll line these up to see if how the lengths are, how much they need to be trimmed, because I expect them to need trimming, but we'll see. Okay, and then here's the original hatch gasket pulled up, and it is different. But I don't foresee it being problematic per se, but I'll know more once I install this guy, because there are a few different dimensional differences here. You can see that the channel on the original one is a lot deeper than on the new one, and then the hollow tube on the old one is a lot larger. It's just like the door ones, but they moved the cushion from the side to the top. If you remember looking at that, the door ones, the hollow tube would be over here where my thumb is, but for the hatch, because the flange points up, they have to have that hollow sealing tube on top, and that's a lot larger than this new one. But this new one does have this extra little lip, so we'll try it out and we'll see how it goes. And in the comment section, I'll also report a road test to report my findings on these guys, see how much better they work or not. I expect to see great results from the doors. That's extremely exciting. The hatch, I'm a little skeptical about here, but I'm pretty sure with just like how flat these old ones are, I bet these new ones are going to be at least an improvement. I can't tell if it's going to be night or day yet. We'll find out more. But I'm pretty sure it will help some. So we'll pause the camera. We'll put these in, and then we'll see what the differences are. I got specifically the Mustang ones because, one, I knew that the gasket types were extremely similar. I was pretty sure they'd be dead on, but it turns out the hatch one must be a little different, unless this isn't the same style as OEM. But I don't know. I don't have regular access to box body Mustangs. But I picked the Mustangs because I knew two things. One, on the Mustangs, the door is bigger. and the hatch opening is bigger. The Mustangs have a bigger hatch. But yeah, the other reason was I was pretty sure that they were the same. I'd pop open them before, and I've compared photos, and they look very comparable. So tried to true test is to just put the new ones in and see how it goes. So let me pause, and we'll start with that. Okay, well, here's the new hatch gasket next to the old original one, and I'm not very confident with the height difference, and I'm not liking the appearance. So I'll probably box up the Mustang hatch gasket, and I know I can get the correct ones of these in Universal. The bigger thing was just by buying them in car sets, which is the way I did, where you get 2 doors and a hatch, and they're kind of all pre-cut, so then you just have to trim lengths, if even that, because it was a lot easier that way. But no, looking at this, I'm not really satisfied. I mean, I may have this guy inside out, because there is a little bit of a lip on the bottom side, and I have that facing out because in my mind, water is going to want to try to come in. So by having the extra seal on the outside, you can help prevent that. Versus putting it on the inside, well, no, you're not doing anything, because the stock ones are like that. You can see this one's actually got on both sides in some spots. So that's all right. We'll peel this one back out, and I'll see if I can return it. I probably can't, and I won't be surprised. I don't have high expectations for returning it, but because I got 2 of these. So I'll see if I can sell them off to some Mustang guys, and we'll go from there. So let's try the doors next. Okay, so now the door gaskets, just for the side doors, we're seeing a lot of difference, but in good ways for the right reasons. So I got it installed right next to the original one. You see that there is a little bit of height difference. These new ones are slimmer, both height-wise and where it clamps onto the metal flange. It's thinner width-wise too, and I think some of that's design, but a lot of it is just, age-related, rust. You see these ends of the old ones are nice and brown, so that means they've expanding. It's been stretching this rubber, making them about useless. But here, I haven't flared this out or anything. You can see it's in its natural resting position. It sticks out a lot further than the flattened door gasket. And this is where the door gasket is kind of thickest. When I come up here, because in each of the corners of the doors, there's more metal. You can see they build that up with more metal. So the new gasket will seal even tighter in those areas. But even here where it's only slightly crushed, it's going to seal a lot better. And it's so much softer, it's going to seal longer. But that's not because this is made of some magic material. It's just because it's new. These seem to be identical materials. The way they make the metal ribbing on the inside here does seem a little bit different, but the texture of the rubber is identical, and all the dimensions seem identical when you account for age-related warpage. So yeah, I'll pause the video again, and we'll go through and we'll feed this through the rest of the car, and we'll see how good that works. And then you'll be able to see with me what the length difference is, if any at all. Okay, so we got it in, and it's nice. It looks great. I mean, it looks perfectly original. In each of these corners, it goes in a little tight, but that's just because with these cars, in this corner, for instance, it's not a rounded edge of the flange. It's just It's literally a square 90-degree corner, kind of like this right here, if this was a flange. So this is always going to want to fold like this, but I closed the door once and one fold disappeared, so I'm pretty sure over time the other one will disappear as the rubber conforms into something like that. If you can picture the rest of this pushed in just a little bit, it'll figure itself out, no problem. The old one does. It's got nice tight, it's got pretty tight turns, and the rubber's all nice and molded around it, like this more gentle turn is. Even these ones down here, absolutely perfect. It is about 22 inches longer than it needs to be, but that's perfectly fine because you want to trim these so that they're nice and tight together. As you saw with my my original gasket, my two ends were butted together so nice and tidy that you couldn't see a seam. Really, if it had looked nice, the only way I could see a seam was because I saw rust stains on one end. But these won't do that right away. So if you make them nice and tight and tidy like that, that's the way it should be. With the hatch you saw, it's got like a 1-inch gap. I don't know if they were all like that or if that's a result of shrinkage. Every single EXP and Escort I have, the hatch is like that, but usually the doors are nice and tight like what you saw earlier. Let me hop in the car so that way you can see how this interior A panel trim fits on. We'll just double check that we got things snug, and it looks like it. You can even confirm on the back side here. It follows the metal so nice and tidy. So let's grab our A-pillar trim panel again. Set it side up in here. Tuck that inside the trim like it's supposed to be. And would you look at that? That is perfect. None of my EXPs or Escorts are that nice. On none of them do the door gasket fit underneath the A-pillar interior trim panel. If it's so nice that the A-pillar panel's not going back into place, and that's because this windshield's been replaced. There's some goop in the way of it. Otherwise, this would come up and almost touch the glass. So once this is fully seated, as far up and forward as it can go, it would perfectly contour to everything there. The big issue with these guys is the fronts never want to go as far forward as they should. But now that the gasket's thinner, it will do whatever it wants to do, and that's a good thing. Let's sneak this back out. Oh geez, without breaking it. Here we go. Priceless. Priceless until I can find somebody to remanufacture these. Priceless. No existe. The only way you can find those is on existing cars. And even then, in most cases, they're toast. Well, I shouldn't say most cases. It's a little over half the time. But, yeah, geez, it fits so nice, and it does actually seal. It's sealing extremely well. You can just see it. I can't go all the way around the door with the camera. I mean, I can try, but you just won't see the sealing action like you would right here and along the edges of the window channel. It just seals absolutely perfect. Every single millimeter. But what I will try to do is I'll grab a flashlight, I'll put the camera inside the car, and we'll see if you guys can see any light shining through. I doubt you will. Okay, so I got my light propped up, and we'll move it around. Hey, there we go. I turned the flash off, so I will actually be able to come in here and look. If you see any light showing, that would be a leaking gasket. You don't see nothing because there's nothing to see. We're moving the light around as we go. We're at the bottom of the door. We're in the middle of the door. Middle of the bottom of the door. We're down by the kick panel, rising back up. Door panel. And you still can't see squat. Woo! That's it. That's, woo! Let's get the camera right side around. That's freaking-tastic. So, Mustang door gaskets, a must. Total godsend. That should just make my car extremely quiet. And even when you close the door, you can feel it's nice and squishy. The old ones, when you push it in like this, it won't spring back like this one does. And even when you close it, you hear a pluff instead of like my blue car. When you close the door, you hear a ta-ta-ta-ta. I could actually simulate that with the other door if I was able to open it, but that's quieted it up a bunch already, and I haven't even fired it up and gone down the road. So I think that's the first huge step in a small little walk towards a much quieter EXP, and at some point my Escorts. So that's exciting. Like I said, I'll order up the correct gaskets for the rear sometime, because these Mustang ones just aren't right. And you could make them work, and they might work for you, but I want them to. I want the top hollow tube to be a little bigger so that it can spring against the hatch a little bit more. That'll make it seal more, and it'll also make the hatch rattle less, and that'd be a good thing, because right now I have louvers on, so without the louvers, the hatch rattle doesn't make much noise. It rattles a bunch, but you don't hear most of it. You put louvers on, now that vibrating hatch that's rattling at a different frequency than the vibrating body, because they're not rigid to each other, your louvers rattle even more rapidly than they would if you were to, tape them onto your hood, or, put them on the carpet in the back seat. So I'm going to go down that rabbit hole, see if I can get rid of these and go from there. Maybe I can use these in other Fords. We'll see. But yeah, the bigger thing was the door gaskets. I can find the hatch gasket pretty much anywhere. It just stinks because if the Mustang ones aren't a direct fit, that means I'll have to. I can buy it by the foot, and that's fine. But that means that I'll have to actually go and measure out this opening. It's going to be something ridiculous, like 12, 15 feet. Actually, I can tell you right now it's going to be more than that, because it's about 4 feet across. It goes 4 or 5 feet down per side. So already I'm at 14 feet, and then about 4 feet across the back. So we're going to need about 20-foot long strips per hatch. It'll add up in price, but at least I can order multiple 20-foot sections to save me some money. So we'll do that. Anyhow, yeah, that's all I wanted to share. We'll get you guys a little bit of a bonus here, because I ordered the parts. I had also ordered up, because unable to get free shipping, you have to spend like $100 to get free shipping. So I did that. Set the camera down. So I, because the two full door gasket kits, each one was $40. I ordered up 2 of them, so that's $80. So I had to spend a little extra to get free shipping. Otherwise, I'd be paying an extra $20 for shipping without getting anything back out of it. So what I got a couple of these. Like it says, it's 79 to 86, I think, rocker panel emblems. These, I'm hoping, are what will go right down in here. Not very many of my EXPs have it anymore, but one or two of them do. My convertible does, I know that much. And then maybe a couple of my Escorts might actually have it. But when these left the factory, this little indentation here inside the front door jamb, Ford had little Ford badges, and they look identical to these ones. But on the EXPs and Escorts, they're only stickers, and the sticker fills in this whole space. You can see that it's actually a raised, or you could say embossed decal. It's an actual raised badge, embossed badge. And you can see this one's much smaller, but if I put that in there, it would still look extremely nice. But I'm going to look and see if I can get the correct sticker decal that goes in there for EXPs and Escorts. Geez, that door closes so nice now. That door, for whatever reason, has bad hinges, so you have to lift up on it while you close it. So because it has those nice sealing door gaskets in it now, if you don't latch it the first time, you'll yeah, it closes pretty hard now, because if you're not lifting up on that, it would never close. But even more so now that it's got the fresh gaskets in there, that's one more thing pushing against the door, making it seal even better. But I also picked up these. I picked up just a pair of those badges and then a pair of these chrome lock caps, just to see how well they match. Because if I like them, I'll order up more. These guys are actually very cheap. I think this pair was like $8. And then those badges I showed you, each one of them was about $8. So I spent a little extra to reach my free shipping threshold, and then I spent an additional $7 beyond that. So, you know, it's all right. So I don't have much in the game right now, and that's why I'm pretty excited about this stuff, especially with how nice it's working out. But yeah, and these are, well, maybe this one's not, but those Ford badges were genuine licensed Ford products. So they're not actual Ford products, but they're licensed. So Ford's looked them over and said, hey, yeah, they work on our cars, and we approve you putting our name on them. Even though Ford doesn't make them or sell them themselves, at least anymore. But that's sweet. Yeah. So we'll have a video for each of those as we go on, and if I can find better decals, I mean, those are extremely nice, but if I could find better fitting decals, then I'll check out those, and then we'll do a whole thing on that. But yeah, I think I'll let you guys go, though. I'm hoping this weekend I can put these door gaskets on my blue 82. That way it will be a lot quieter. And then I'll see what I can order up for the hatch gaskets and go from there. But you guys have a swell time. We will catch you later.